Blake Lively, you deserve all of this. This is a reckoning she needs to hear. This isn't bullying. This isn't harassment.
Announcing that her and Blake are taking a break. They're no longer friends because, shocking, Taylor Swift feels used.
Taylor Swift and Blake Lively, once Hollywood's favorite besties, may be on the verge of becoming its biggest rivals. Their decade-long friendship seems to be on shaky ground after Taylor's recent actions, which have left Swifties and industry insiders completely stunned.
Why is she backing out here? Very carefully worded back out. Because she's smart. Okay? Taylor Swift is very smart. She is media savvy.
Taylor Swift's latest move exposes her hypocrisy, but the real blame lies with Blake Lively and her unyielding pursuit of power. Her relentless ambition overshadows Swift's actions, making her the true driving force behind this controversy.
These horrible men did something to me, and I personally did not feel that Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds had the star power to get the New York Times to risk their professional reputation to help take down Justin Baldoni. That's like global star power. That's something Kris Jenner can get done, Taylor Swift can get done, Beyonce can get done. Not Ryan Reynolds, not a Blake Lively for sure. Anyway, so today woke up, Daily Mail, huge article. And I want to tell you something first and foremost before we even discuss this article. Do not let people mistake you into thinking this is just a gossip column, okay? I've hung around some of these A-listers. I used to be friends with Kanye West. I know how this works. And let me tell you something that is well known in Hollywood is that Taylor Swift has plugs, especially at the Daily Mail, when she wants to get a narrative out. The person that works for her is this woman named Tree. And Tree is allegedly vicious. She will protect Taylor Swift's reputation by any means necessary, and they fold. Okay, the editors, the writers, journalists, when she says put something in the mail, it gets done. And I'm not saying that part allegedly. That is a fickety fact. Okay, take that to the bank, start a 401k. Tree knows how, when she feels Taylor Swift is being threatened, she's going to protect her reputation. So this Daily Mail article appears very timely. It says Taylor Swift's taking a step back from Blake Lively as dramatic legal battle with Justin Baldoni threatens their decade-long friendship. And it's got Jane Pachushka as the writer. He is in the entertainment space. He's like the top writer for their entertainment column. And he's not going to just write this unless he was told this. This is how it works in the background, you guys. You have these PR people who come behind and they tell you this is what we want planted. And the more power you have, it will be word for word, exactly what you want the public to read. So I'll tell you what they want the public to read.
Blake clearly didn't consider how involving Taylor might impact her. She likely saw her as nothing more than a means to an end in the situation with Baldoni. After all, Taylor has always been her fiercely loyal dragon, ready to be summoned whenever Blake needs to intimidate her enemies.
You deserve all of this. This is a reckoning she needs to hear. This isn't bullying. This isn't harassment. This is accountability, girl.
Blake Lively didn't just feel invincible, she lived like she was. To be fair, she was part of an elite circle made up of Hollywood's top 1% of the top 1%. So why wouldn't she feel untouchable? But what she seemed to forget is that the same powerful group that lifted her up could just as easily bring her down. And now, Taylor Swift isn't waiting for the final verdict. She's already tossing their friendship in the trash.
We all know the backstory here. Blake Lively essentially threatened, you could say, Justin Baldoni, calling Taylor Swift and Ryan Reynolds her beautiful little dragon monsters that she sometimes has to use to get what she wants done.
The moment Taylor Swift realized that Blake Lively had been using her without her consent just to one-up Baldoni, she played the ultimate reverse card. Blake never saw it coming. She probably assumed, she's my bestie, she'll understand why I did it. But instead, she found herself abruptly cut off from her beloved Mean Girl circle. A lot has gone down in recent weeks, but this ride-or-die friendship has lasted much longer. So why are Hollywood's favorite besties suddenly at odds over a relatively unknown actor who just wouldn't fade away? Let's dive in. There's a lot to unpack.
One source said, Taylor has politely backed away from it all. She is conscious of her own image and hates.
Looking back, it seems almost unbelievable, but Blake Lively has arguably been Taylor Swift's most consistent friend throughout her time in the spotlight. When their friendship first blossomed, these two all-American sweethearts were inseparable, spotted everywhere from red carpets and Halloween parties to exclusive top-tier events. Swifties will no doubt remember Blake's appearance in Taylor's 2020 music video for You Belong With Me*, and how she even allowed one of her songs to be used in the soundtrack for It Ends With Us*. Everything seemed picture perfect between them until just a few weeks ago.
Boats because Ryan and Blake's Titanic, the ship that not even God could sink, is sinking. It's going down.
When Baldoni name-dropped Taylor Swift in his massive $400 million lawsuit, he likely had no idea he was also setting off the chain reaction that would end her decade-long friendship with Blake Lively. As soon as Taylor started feeling the heat from the bad press surrounding the drama, she decided she had enough. And just like that, in the blink of an eye, she cut ties with Blake as if their 10-year friendship meant nothing.
Queen Khaleesi, it does not seem to be going well for you.
Sources close to Taylor Swift say she was completely blindsided by the lawsuit and had no idea her name would be used as a weapon. Insiders reveal that Taylor was absolutely livid when she found out, feeling as though Blake had recklessly dragged her into a battle she never wanted to be part of.
The speed at which her marketing team moves dropped an entire article in the press announcing that her and Blake are taking a break. They're no longer friends because, shocking, Taylor Swift feels used. She always feels used. And she wants nothing to do with the Justin Baldoni.
Taylor despises being used as a chess piece in other people's drama. However, many find it hard to believe she was truly naive enough to be unaware of her best friend's hidden agenda. Guilty or not, one thing Taylor never compromises on is her brand. With an army of top-tier PR teams at her disposal, she has the ultimate defense against negative press experts in damage control and narrative shaping, ready to extinguish any rumor before it spreads.
I personally did not feel that Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds had the star power to get the New York Times to risk their professional reputation to help take down Justin.
The moment Taylor's team caught wind of the brewing bad PR, her army sprang into action, carefully crafting a counter-narrative. And just like that boom out of nowhere, a highly detailed article about her falling out with Blake Lively surfaced in the Daily Mail. Coincidence? No way. In Hollywood, coincidences don't exist.
Tell you something that is well known in Hollywood is that Taylor Swift has plugs, especially at the Daily Mail, when she wants to get a narrative out.
The wildest thing about Hollywood's PR games, anyone with enough influence and resources can play. And here's where it gets even juicier. While Daily Mail * was busy fueling the narrative of a major fallout between Blake and Taylor, News * was pushing the exact opposite story. According to their insider sources, the Lively Swift connection is still intact despite the drama. News * insists the pair are in a good place, while Daily Mail continues to report on a massive rift. So which version of the story is actually true?
E! News is saying the exact opposite, just so we're clear. They're out there saying, no, there's no truth to this rumor, this report that's coming out. It's not true.
Swifties. The internet's very own FBI quickly caught on to the contradicting narratives and wasted no time switching into detective mode. What they uncovered was pretty telling. Blake and Taylor haven't been spotted together since Baldoni filed his lawsuit, where he dedicated an entire section to her. No dinner outings, no casual hangouts, not even an Instagram shout-out. That's when fans realized their fave had officially jumped ship, leaving Blake high and dry.
She was referred to as some kind of pet or possession. Taylor shouldn't even be involved in this at all. Taylor has politely backed away from it all. She is conscious of her own image and hates that she was even mentioned.
The biggest clue: Taylor just spent an entire week in NYC, visiting all her usual spots, but not once did she see Blake. Not once. These two love being spotted together, which makes it even more obvious that Swift has already cut ties. Either that, or they've reached some kind of mutual understanding, one where Taylor takes a major step back to protect her own image.
That Blake Lively and Swift were pictured together was in October on a double date with Travis Kelce.
One thing is crystal clear: Taylor Swift isn't about to let anyone, not even Blake Lively, jeopardize her empire. But is she truly innocent in all of this? because according to Baldoni's lawsuit, she played a much bigger role than she lets on. So what really went down at Blake's mansion that night? In his 179-page lawsuit, Baldoni paints a very different picture. He claims that Taylor wasn't just a bystander. She and Ryan Reynolds were right there in the thick of it, enthusiastically praising Blake's version of the script while subtly pressuring him to comply. The message was clear. Go along with their vision or brace for the fallout.
Her friends also think that Blake's "I'm Khaleesi and like her, I happen to have dragons" text to Justin was uncool and unnecessary because she was essentially used as an intimidation tactic.
This is where Taylor Swift's version of that night takes an interesting turn. According to the carefully crafted Daily Mail * article, Taylor thought she was simply stopping by for a casual visit with her bestie Blake and Blake's husband, Ryan Reynolds. But what she actually walked into was a messy, high-stakes meeting, one that had nothing to do with her. Until suddenly it did.
In this at all. She was only going over to visit Blake and Ryan with the understanding that the meeting would be over.
So Taylor is essentially claiming she was dragged completely by accident into one of Hollywood's biggest scandals in recent memory. Convenient, isn't it? The article admits she was aware of the meeting, but conveniently leaves out the part where she waltzed in, took a seat, and actively joined the conversation. Now that Baldoni has given her a starring role in his lawsuit, the narrative has shifted to "I was used." We've seen this script before, Taylor.
It can't always be that Taylor Swift is being used. She can't always be being used. I'm sorry. It's been like 20 years of her being used, and I don't feel that that is the true story, okay?
We can all agree on one thing: someone like Taylor Swift doesn't just get used. That would be a little too convenient, wouldn't it? The real issue is that Blake overplayed her hand. She assumed she had Taylor locked in, ready to back her every move because, after all, they've been besties for years. But the problem? Baldoni came armed with receipts, too many, in fact, that backed up his version of events. Meanwhile, all Taylor and her camp have managed to offer is a watered-down narrative with no real proof. Baldoni only realized the full extent of the setup once the heat was on. Blake had orchestrated it perfectly. She knew that simply having Taylor and Ryan Reynolds in the room would be enough to make him feel cornered and pressured into giving in to her demands.
You showed up and the meeting was still going on. What does that mean? What is that? I showed up and the meeting was still going on. So what are you being victimized by?
Let's be real. When you're Taylor Swift, just walking into a room shifts the balance of power. Her words carry weight because people revere her. They know the influence she commands. Now, let's assume Baldoni played into that narrative, painting Taylor as a key figure in this power struggle. Even so, one thing is undeniable: Taylor * knew * what she was doing.
Friend's house, and there's a meeting going on, and I didn't know it was still going to go on. I don't need to insert myself in that meeting. Justin Baldoni, in his lawsuit, stipulates that Taylor Swift pressured him, and she's not denying that in this article.
For Taylor, that lawsuit became a massive problem. She wasn't just Blake's supportive friend anymore. She was now part * of the controversy. And if there's one thing Taylor Swift absolutely avoids, it's unwanted drama that could damage her reputation. Oh, and let's not forget Blake Lively's now infamous * dragon * comment. Over the years, we've heard plenty of controversial remarks, but this one might just take the top spot. It's wild to think she wrote that analogy about Baldoni right after he left their mansion that night. It's one thing to call yourself the Dragon Queen, but referring to Taylor as one of your dragons, that's a whole other level. So was Taylor just another fire-breathing pawn under Blake's control, unleashed whenever she...
Her follow-up text, which reads like a psycho, obviously, "I'm Khaleesi, these are my dragons." She said it and said, "You didn't have to do that. You didn't have to have Taylor Swift there to make me look at your edits." And
if you've watched * Game of Thrones, the dragon * reference makes even more sense. Blake Lively positioned herself as a vengeful Daenerys Targaryen, the mother of dragons. That alone was packed with enough subtle threats, but she didn't stop there. She took it a step further by calling Taylor Swift one of her big bad dragons, and even described how she uses her to wreak havoc on her enemies.